It's 8 p.m. You're watching the news. I'm Ankita Mukherjee. Let's get started with the headlines tonight. Fugitive jeweler Nirav Modi is now a step closer to extradition. He loses his appeal in a UK court, which says it's neither unjust nor oppressive to extradite him. He could, however, have some recourse left, even though his judicial appeals have now been exhausted. Team Uddhav Thakrae's Sanjay Raut walks out of Mumbai's Arthur Road jail after a special court gives him bail, making scathing comments against the Enforcement Directorate, says you can't drag an innocent person into a miserable situation in the guise of arrest. The High Court also refuses to stay the bail. Tech company Meta fires 11,000 of its employees, that's 13% of its global workforce, but offers severance as well as immigration support for those laid off. Mark Zuckerberg says he's sorry and that he got several calculations wrong. Teams were expanded too rapidly during pandemic days. Justice DY Chandrachud takes oath as India's 50th Chief Justice, says his priority is to serve ordinary citizens. The new Chief Justice promises judicial and technological reforms. He faces a huge weight of expectations. Amit Shah chairs a key BJP meeting on the Gujarat polls. Former Chief Minister Vijay Rupani and former Deputy Chief Minister Patel will not contest these elections. Sources say many sitting MLAs are going to be denied a ticket to contest. Hardik Patel, who's migrated from the Congress, will contest from Viramgam. Minor girls were drugged and abused by the jailed top seer of the Lingayat sect, the Muruga Mutt. Shocking details revealed in the police's charge sheet. 6 victims have come forward, but the police have also appealed to others to come forward. In the US midterms, Democrats hold on in several key races. It's a bad night for Donald Trump. There is no Republican wave, but several Indian Americans have been elected to the US House of Representatives. At least 6 people are killed as a 6.3 magnitude earthquake hits western Nepal. Tremors are felt in Delhi and across North India. And Sir David Butler, political scientist who transformed our understanding of general elections, has died. He was 98. Our top story tonight, Nirav Modi, the diamond businessman from Gujarat who fled India after allegedly cheating a government bank of over 11,000 crores, is a step closer to being extradited to India from the United Kingdom. He lost his appeal in the London High Court today. The court said we're far from satisfied that Nirav Modi's mental condition and the risk of suicide are such that it would be either unjust or oppressive to extradite him. Arvind joining us with the latest on that big story. Arvind, despite what the court has said today and the fact that Nirav Modi has now exhausted all the judicial appeals that were available to him, the process to bring him back to India still has some way to go?
Yeah, Ankita, the extradition of Nirav Modi is still some way to go. It's still far because Nirav Modi, as per the process, as per the legal system, that he still has an option to move Supreme Court. But in this particular case, as per the UK's judicial system, only if there is any point of law, a question of law involved, only in that particular case, the High Court will give permission for the particular person to approach the Supreme Court. But in this particular case, because it's purely a case of extradition and there is no question of law involved, because Nirav Modi has not challenged the UK Extradition Act per se. In fact, his limited ground before the UK division bench during the written appeal was on medical ground, and that's why our sources in the agency say that it's unlikely that Nirav Modi will be given an opportunity to move the Supreme Court. But that's not the only opportunity which Nirav Modi likely to use, because even in the case of Vijay Mallya, even he also wanted to move Supreme Court, but the High Court refused to give him the permission to move the Supreme Court, UK Supreme Court. But Vijay Mallya had opted, he applied for political asylum in UK, and that's where the entire process got delayed. Even now our agencies don't know what is the status of his extradition, and that's where agency sources are very wary that even Nirav Modi will be trying to use the same opportunity, trying to move the UK authorities with a political asylum request, because if that's if he moves for that opportunity, if he moves for that strategy, then that will get things complicated, because our agencies, we will not have any say in this particular process, and that's why our agency sources say that they are in touch with the UK authorities in order to ensure that he does not get this entire process any more delayed.
All right, Arvind, thanks very much indeed for joining us, and India will hope they can bring back Nirav Modi and perhaps into Mumbai's Arthur Road jail. But one person who was released from that same jail earlier this evening was Shiv Sena MP Sanjay Raut, hours after he was granted bail by a court in an alleged money laundering case filed by the Enforcement Directorate. Not only is it surprising that the Sena MP who supports the Uddhav faction got bail from a lower court, which is rare under the stringent provisions of the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, the court also sharply rebuked the Enforcement Directorate for arresting the politician with no reason and with what it described as a pick and choose attitude. The ED then moved to have this bail stayed in the High Court, which in turn also refused to stay bail. Sohit joining us with the latest on that big story. Sohit, a huge shot in the arm, of course, for Team Uddhav Thackeray, but also the observations of the lower court coming as a surprise?
Absolutely. In fact, if we read at the order, they have also, in fact, started saying that the arrest was illegal. Apart from that, the word witch hunt was also used by the special court on Wednesday while granting bail to Sanjay Raut. In fact, if we look at what has been said by the court, while granting the bail, the court said that if the court still accepts the contention of the ED and MAJA to reject the bail of application of Praveen Raut and Sanjay Raut, this will show that the court is agreeing to the pick and choose strategy of the agency. Certainly in that event, any common man, innocent and honest people will lose faith and confidence which they have in the judicial system as a temple of justice. So this is what was said by the court. Apart from that, the court in its other observations said that both the accused are basically arrested illegally. Both of them are entitled to parity in view of the disparity made by the ED in not arresting the main accused, which includes Rakesh Sarang, the HDIL, MADA, as well as the government officials. So these are very strong statements as well as observation that the court has made during granting the bail to Sanjay Raut. After coming out, Sanjay Raut was once again back in his style. He understands media very well. He knows that the cameras are out, and he came outside in a similar fashion when he was arrested and when he was being taken to the jail. It was 31st of July when Sanjay Raut, a raid happened at the residence of Sanjay Raut, and when he was being taken to the ED office, he in a similar way stepped out of his car and waved to the media, waved to the people waiting for him outside. In a similar fashion, when he came out of the jail after spending more than 100 days, he stepped out of his car, out of his sunroof car, and waved to the media as well as the people. Now, Sanjay Raut is on his way to Shivaji Park, where there is Bala Saheb Thackre's memorial, after which he will be going to his residence. So, in a way, a huge relief, not only to Sanjay Raut, but also, as you said, to the Shiv Sena Uddhav Bala Saheb Thackre party, because the BMC elections are coming. And Sanjay Raut being on their side, also the judges' observation. These are the things that Uddhav Thackeray will be using in the coming days.
Indeed. So, as we said, a big shot in the arm for the Uddhav faction of the Sena. So, thanks very much indeed for joining us with that. On to our other big story tonight. Mark Zuckerberg saying that Meta, the parent company of Facebook and WhatsApp, will cut more than 11,000 jobs in the first major round of layoffs in the social media platform's history. The reductions are about 13% of the company's global workforce. It will also extend its hiring freeze through another quarter. In a season of tech layoffs, Meta's bloodbath seems to be one of the largest yet. Rubina joining us with the latest on that. Rubina, Zuckerberg taking responsibility for several decisions that were taken when Meta was sort of expanding greatly because of a surge in online revenue, thanks partly due, of course, to pandemic times, but now it finds itself in a very different situation.
Yes, As you know, that the Silicon Valley bloodbath continues, and Mark Zuckerberg has announced that Facebook will let go of 13% of its employees starting today. Now amounting to 11,000 employees, Zuckerberg announced via a message to staff that the company will be leaner and will extend a hiring freeze for all the way through the first quarter of 2023. Mark Zuckerberg, CEO of Meta, said and wrote in a blog today that today I'm sharing some of the most difficult changes we have ever made in Meta's history. I've decided to reduce the size of our team by about 13% and let more than 11,000 of our talented employees go. We are also taking a number of additional steps to become a leaner and more efficient company by cutting discretionary spending and extending our hiring freeze through the quarter one. Now, Facebook is offering its employees a minimum of 4 months, those who have been impacted, of base pay as severance, paid time off, health insurance for 6 months, 3 months of career support, as well as immigration support. Mark Zuckerberg, in his note to his employees, wrote that he takes accountability for the layoffs. However, what led to the layoffs is the big question. Zuckerberg claims that the proliferation of online shopping and commerce during COVID was mistakenly construed as a permanent acceleration due to outsized online traffic and revenue growth. Because of it, the company expanded teams and investment in projects. However, that growth has not only slowed down, but shopping and online traffic is trending towards the pre-COVID era. Combine that with a poor macroeconomic climate, strong competition from short-form video content like TikTok, and significant deterioration in ad revenue due to lower spending, as well as Apple's privacy-centric software rollouts, the company has not been able to meet its revenue outlook quarter on quarter. In fact, Meta's stock value has plummeted to about 75% of its original thing and has lost more than $500 billion in value. Meta will now be focusing more on higher priority projects like AI-based discovery, ads and business platforms. The company is also deepening its focus on the metaverse, even though the profitability there is expected to have a long horizon of a decade or longer. Meta joins the list of tech companies that are laying off their employees. Last week, as you know, Twitter fired over 50% of its workforce and over 90% employees in India. Microsoft layoffs have also begun, and Apple has also made a hiring freeze all of 2023.
All right. Thanks very much indeed, Rubina, for getting us that overview. Let's move on. Justice DY Chandrachud taking over as India's 50th Chief Justice today, promising to make citizens his first priority. Justice Chandrachud faces massive challenges, from filling vacancies to clearing pending cases. There's also a huge weight of expectations as the entire country now looks to him.
I, Dhananjay Yashwant Chandrachud, having been appointed as Chief Justice.
Justice Dr. DY Chandrachud is India's 50th Chief Justice and will head the judiciary for the next 2 years. Till November 2024, the longest tenure of a Chief Justice in over a decade.
सामान्य नागरिक की सेवा करना, अब आप आगे देखते रहिए, कार्य से हम सारे नागरिकों के कार्य करेंगे, चाहे टेक्नोलॉजी में हो, चाहे रजिस्ट्री के रिफॉर्म में हो, जुडिशल रिफॉर्म्स में हो, हर चीज़ में नागरिक काम करेंगे.
Chief Justice Chandrachud has many challenges waiting on his way. 7 vacancies in Supreme Court as on November 9th. 5 more judges in Supreme Court to retire before June 2023. 336 vacancies in high courts across the country. 69,781 cases pending in Supreme Court, of which 50 cases are constitutional bench matters. Abrogation of Article 370, euthanasia and right to die with dignity, appointments of Election Commission among them. Over 4 crore cases pending in various high courts.
Appointment to higher judiciary has always been the cause of flashpoint between the Chief Justice of India and the government of the day. On Friday, Union Law Minister Kiran Rijiju criticized the collegium system of judges appointing judges as opaque and said that the government can't be silent forever.
Justice Chandrachud has been a judge for 22 years. Dr. DY Chandrachud is the son of former CJI YV Chandrachud. Justice Chandrachud studied at St. Stephen's College in Delhi, got his bachelor degree in law from Delhi University and earned his postgraduate and doctorate from Harvard University. Justice Chandrachud served as Additional Solicitor General of India between 1998 and 2000. He was appointed a judge of the Bombay High Court in 2000 and was elevated to the Supreme Court in 2016.
the first big challenge of Justice Chandrachud as Chief Justice of India will be to fill the 7 vacancies in Supreme Court. This when the centre is still sitting on the recommendations sent by the previous collegium headed by former Chief Justice of India U.U. Lalit. With camera person Kannan Patra, this is Arvind Gunasekar for NDTV.
Amit Shah has chaired a key BJP meeting on the Gujarat polls to finalize the first list of candidates as well. Akhilesh joining us with the latest on that. Akhilesh, what are we hearing?
Well, the BJP's Central Election Committee meeting has started at the party headquarters in Delhi. This is to finalize the 182 candidates for the Gujarat Assembly elections. And as we have been reporting since morning, now Mr. Vijay Rupani, who is the former CM, and also Nitin Patel, the former Deputy CM, these top leaders of the Gujarat BJP, they have decided not to contest assembly election this time. They were not supposed to get tickets, and that is why they have made this public announcements. And apart from that, the party has decided not to give tickets to anybody who is above 75 years of age, and also those who are relatives of BJP MPs and MLAs, they will also not be given tickets. And apart from that, many sitting MLAs will be denied tickets to beat the anti-incumbency. The BJP has been in power for the past 27 years in Gujarat, and we have been told by the sources that around 30 to 35 sitting MLAs out of 112 will be denied tickets. And apart from that, many new faces will be fielded by the BJP to beat the anti-incumbency, and some leaders like Hardik Patel and Alpesh Thakur, who switched over from the Congress party to the BJP, they will be fielded by the party. So this is the broad guideline the BJP has decided. The CEC is going on right now, and they will finalize all the 182 assembly seats candidates tonight.
Right. Thanks very much indeed for those details, Akhilesh. On to the other state going to polls, Himachal Pradesh, where the BJP appears to be locked in a fight with its own rebels, apart from the fight it has with the Congress. One of these rebels claimed that he even got a call from Prime Minister Modi, but had to turn down his request. These rebels are laying the blame squarely at party President JP Nadda's door. Saurabh Shukla with that story.
This audio recording of Prime Minister Modi's phone conversation with former BJP MP and now rebel candidate Kripal Parmar has gone viral in Himachal Pradesh. Parmar, who is now contesting as an independent from the Fatehpur seat, blamed party chief JP Nadda for his rebellion.
मोदी जी मैंने नड्डा जी ने मेरे को इतना जलील किया 15 साल 40-42 साल में जिस आदमी ने कुछ नहीं मांगा जो मिल गया तो मिल गया नहीं मिला तो नहीं मिला जिस आदमी ने कोई विवाद नहीं खड़ा किया जिस पर कोई आरोप नहीं है शांति से शालीनता से पार्टी का काम करता है मुझे इतना मारा गया कि मेरा एहसास खत्म हो गया मैंने उस दिन मोदी जी को भी कहा कि अगर आपका ये कॉल एक दिन पहले आ जाता क्योंकि 29 को विड्रॉल थी 3 बजे तक अगर 3 बजने को 5 मिनट में भी आ जाता तो मैं उनकी बात पूरी भी ना सुनता मैं कहता जी हो गया और मैं विड्रॉ कर लेता
Parmar is not the only rebel headache for the BJP. There are as many as 21 rebels contesting across the state, which includes 3 sitting and 5 former MLAs, most of them pointing fingers at JP Nadda. For JP Nadda, this is a prestige election in his home state. He has held as many as 50 meetings in the last 20 days. Here at Simla's famous Mall Road, Mr. Nadda is seen doing a door-to-door campaign. The Congress has had a more low-key campaign and hopes the rebel factor will help.
अभी उस दिन प्रधानमंत्री जी बात कर रहे थे परमार साहब बैठ जाओ परमार साहब ने अपना दुख व्यक्त किया 15 साल नड्डा जी ने मुझे तंग किया है सब लोगों ने वीडियो देखा है नड्डा साहब से नाराज हो गए 21 लोग बागी हो भारतीय जनता पार्टी में चुनाव लड़ रहे हैं आज तक तो सीट है 21 लोग बागी लड़ रहे हैं
JP Nadda is not leaving any stone unturned in Himachal Pradesh. This is the biggest challenge, a prestige battle for JP Nadda because Himachal Pradesh is his home state. If BJP loses, then it's going to be a setback individually for JP Nadda because party has again made its mind to give JP Nadda one more chance as a party president. In Shimla, with Ashok Mahale and VD Sharma, Saurabh Shukla for NDTV.
An earthquake of magnitude 6 struck Nepal this morning, leaving at least 6 people dead as a house collapsed from the earthquake in the Doti district of Nepal. The quake was centered around 158 kilometers northeast of Pilibhit in Uttar Pradesh. Tremors were also felt in Delhi and its surrounding areas. There has been no Republican wave as anticipated in the US midterm elections. For Donald Trump in particular, it was a bad night, with many of the candidates endorsed by him either losing outright or lagging behind. For Biden, actually, it's been a surprising shot in the arm, but perhaps not the best of results for the US as a whole. With power expected to be split across the two parties, the country could well be entering a period of policy gridlock.
Florida, our governor, he's red, white, and blue.
In the end, it was not the red wave that many had predicted. The Republicans not doing as well as expected in the US midterm polls. The Democrats doing much better than many had thought. And this is why. Abortion became a major issue. 3 states, California, Vermont and Michigan, voted to retain abortion rights on the ballot. Women voters came out in large numbers to support the Democrats. Young people queued up to support the Democrats too. Former President Donald Trump, who's looking at a re-election run in 2024, came in the line of fire by right-wing commentators. Many of the candidates Trump had endorsed either lost or were lagging behind, including those who denied the results of the last presidential election, which Joe Biden won.
We won 200.
But Trump also has serious competition from within now. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis won a second term, bolstering his rise as a potential White House candidate and Republican Party star.
I have only begun to fight. God bless you all. Thank you very much. Thank you for a historic landslide victory.
What is at stake in these polls is the control of the US Congress. It has been a very tight fight, but so far projections suggest the Republicans will get control of the US House of Representatives, while the Senate may narrowly stay with the Democrats. Democrat John Fetterman won a key Senate battle in Pennsylvania, which flipped the seat from the Republicans. Even though several results are still awaited, what is clear is that the Democrats have been able to ward off a red wave and reduce it to a trickle. This comes as a huge relief to Joe Biden, who will not be a lame duck president for the next 2 years. Maha Siddiqui for NDTV.
So an outcome there that is very far from the debacle that was expected for Biden or the sort of launch pad for Donald Trump's campaign for president. But there were lots of other interesting sidelights. 4 Indian American politicians from the Democratic Party have been elected to the US House of Representatives. Let's take a look at some of the other key election highlights.
The USA saw a number of firsts after the conclusion of the midterm elections. Maura Healey, the new governor of Massachusetts, is the nation's first openly lesbian governor.
Thank you, Maryland!
While Wes Moore made history in becoming the first black governor of Maryland. Maryland voters also approved the legalization of recreational marijuana in a first for a state that is 3 times more likely to arrest black people for the possession of the drug, despite equal use amongst white people. The same state, Hyderabad-born Aruna Miller became the first Indian American to become lieutenant governor. And bringing in some young blood into the 117th US Congress, which is the oldest in the country's history with an average member age of 59 years old, is 25-year-old Maxwell Frost, the first Gen Z member ever elected to the Congress. Bureau Report, NDTV.
Sir David Butler, the father of modern election science, whose career spanned more than 70 years, has died at the age of 98. An Oxford political science don and the founding father of British psephology, Sir David Butler had a special relationship with NDTV as well.
There's an old racing adage which says, in a field of three, always back the outsider. Certainly in these British elections, everyone seems to be focusing on the man who's undoubtedly coming third, Liberal Party leader Paddy Ashdown. Meena Ahmed reports from London on why the Liberal Party seems to be more important than ever before.
The fight for 10 Downing Street has begun. Polling day is barely a fortnight away and there is still no clear front-runner. Both the Conservative Party and the Labour Party are running neck to neck in the polls. How has the so-called central ground of British politics changed?
Well, the central ground has got much more crowded. That is to say, the Conservatives, since John Major took over, have moved away from what seemed like a more extreme right, Thatcherite position. And the Labour Party in the last 4 years, under Neil Kinnock, have abandoned most of the things that seemed characteristically left-wing.
Britain's David Butler was known as the father of modern election science. Integral to NDTV's early election coverage, he was just 25 in 1950 when he first appeared as an election analyst on the BBC.
The man who brought swing to British elections, Sir David Butler, who's sitting here.
He was the first to study election results in terms of percentages and develop the concept of the swing, the percentage shift of votes from one party to another between elections, something that psephologists around the world use even today.
What happened to the votes of the BJP and the Samajwadi Party in Uttar Pradesh? This is what it looked like. First of all, there's a wave across all states. And on the other side, there's a negative swing from Congress in 4 out of the 5 states. They have a small swing in their favor.
NDTV's Pranoy Roy co-authored a compendium of Indian elections with David Butler and Ashok Lahiri in 1984, paving the way for modern psephology in India.